My name's Desmond Lee. I'm the head coach for the Jingwu Cultural Association. What are the historical origins of lion dancing? From what I've learned, it's got multiple origin stories. It's steeped in Buddhist tradition for sure, but it came about as a way to celebrate special occasions and whatnot. Suffice to say, it's steeped deep in mysticism and symbolism, and used to bring about good luck, ward away evil spirits. The whole premise behind the lion is appeasement. So when you invite a lion out to dance, the goal is to bring in good luck, ward away bad spirits and bad luck. But in order for an animal to do that, you gotta tame it. That's what the Buddha character would do, is to help tame the lion and then direct him to spread the luck. The way we kind of use him, he's more of I guess an entertainer. I wouldn't call him a clown. Some people refer to him as more of a clown. He is an important character, right? He adds a bit of a humorous aspect in terms of what we do. It's just another level of interaction that I think makes the whole performance charming. In lion dance, you've got three basic instruments. You've got the drum, you've got the cymbals, and you've got the gong. The drum, of course, the driving heartbeat of the whole dance. Everything follows the drum, and as we've evolved, the drum follows the lion. The drummer would be, in a sense, the lead, and playing the beats that would essentially tell the lion what to do. You know, the cymbals and the gong, complementary, but also very important. The gong, I guess if you think of a band, the drum's the lead guitar and the gong's the bass. So while not being overly loud, it does maintain a certain rhythm. The cymbals themselves, depending on how you play, is kind of the more exciting part. So the cymbals really add that bit of excitement and energy to the whole performance.
Jingwu is an association that's promoting Chinese culture through lion dancing to those we perform for around the city as well as southern Alberta. It teaches younger generations of the Chinese traditions and culture, as well as reminds the elders of their homeland.
If I was to say what we've done here, the Jingwu itself, the original mandate for this organization is to bring wushu and this kind of Chinese culture into the Olympic realm. And the mandate was that when we originally formed. But since then, it's more become a place where we're trying to take, firstborn, first generation immigrant children and connect them a bit with, the culture that their parents were brought up in, but to also find their own way in identifying themselves. Because, when I was growing up, I was always in between. I wasn't quite Canadian, wasn't quite Chinese. Right, being the only Asian kid in my school, it was kind of a weird thing. So Jingwu for me was a place to bridge that gap.
My name is Matthew No. I have been doing lion dance for 13 years now. I've joined Jingwu when I was 10 years old. Ever since then, I am now a director on the board of directors. The process of lion dancing, based on the location and based on what performance we're doing, that'll vary on how we set up the performance. Standard performance, how it starts usually is with the lions either entering in and sleeping, or they're already started and they're in position. So once the lion dancers bow in, they get into the lion, then the lion goes to sleep. The lions are just slowly awakening, start blinking, start cleaning themselves off, and slowly start waking up. The moment they get up, we always traditionally start with 3 bows, starting from the left to the right into the center. Then we do something called the Heisi, which is like the awakening of the lion. It's a big movement. It's just showing off the strength of the lion and the power of it. Then in between that is the lions interacting. And this is when the beat starts becoming a little bit more mysterious and the lion's just curious. And it's showing curiosity, and there's a lot of emotion tied into this. Lion's curious, and then they see each other, they see other lions, and then they start approaching one another. Then they start interacting. We have certain moves such as the head bite, where the lions both kind of nip at each other's necks, and then they jump away. We also have the tail chase, where the lion is curious about its tail and it sees it's wagging and it starts chasing itself. We also have this thing called sampao, which is where the lions intersect and they jump through each other. Afterwards, they start the clacks. That's when the lions are sort of blinking. We will finish with one more awakening of the lion, the hasty. Then we'll end with 3 bows starting from left, right, and center. Then we end.
Learning line dance is a time-consuming process, as when you start off you need to gain flexibility, strength, stamina. You'll learn the foundations of lion dance, which is usually martial arts, so stance work. You'll learn how to maneuver as 2 people in a line, as you have a head and a tail. And you want to be able to communicate with your tail or your head so it looks like one unit.
Technical difficulties that I've personally faced would probably be the mental toughness. Growing up, I would never really join any sports. Technically, Jingwu was the first sort of physical endurance thing that I did after school, extracurricular activity type of thing. So it was the mental toughness to be able to go through all of that. I think one of the hardest things that we do at Jingwu is doing stance work. And that's where you just hold a stance like a horse stance. You would just hold that for minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and sometimes they would just time you, and it becomes like this mental battle. It's no longer physical, like your legs are already giving out and everything, but it's that mental toughness and that discipline that constantly continues to help you keep fighting. As time goes on, things become easier. Things obviously become more muscle memory and you start picking things up. Other challenges that I would face from that point on would just be having clarity to develop, create a plan, organize it, and then relaying it back to our members. Stepping up as like a leader figure, looking out for the younger generation, and then reteaching them what I learned.
My name is Alex. I've been a member of Jingmo for over 17 years, going to 18. I'm also the current president for the board of directors, and I've been teaching the classes for over 10 years. In terms of modernizing it, our history specifically is we have a lot of generations. We go based off of generations. So every new line of kids is the next generation. So for example, the first generation that started us off in the 80s, their way of line dancing was very martial arts based. So they did a lot of stance work, martial arts inspired movements, and made the lines very, I would say, very blocky. By the time it was Dez's generation, so that'd be the second generation, he decided, you know, I want to make it a bit more animal-like. So he wants to like throw in a bit more interaction. So that's why he created the head bite, the tail chase, the sampao through, created all those different movements. And then the following generation, which would be our generation, so me, mine's, Matthew's, and Eric's, our generation, we wanted to kind of, how can we improve it? So for us, we actually created another move on top of that. It was actually, jokingly, we called it bum flower, but then it actually became a move that we do all the time. And on top of that, every single individual performer is their own specific line. So they would interact differently. They would be performing differently. Let's take, for example, Matthew's performance. Like when he performs in the line, he's more agile, he's more active, he's jumping around a lot. So you can say that as that's his personality for that specific line, whichever he makes.
Today, lion dancing has moved into championships. They've adopted different changes. Back then, it was traditionally just for males to be doing lion dance, but today we've accepted all genders and all races and all different people to be doing lion dance.
Traditional lion dance, females were relegated to more of the secondary duties. However, in order to counter that and to change these traditional attitudes, I feel like more females just have to take that risk and join. However, at Jingwu and many of the lion dance communities out here, the traditional attitude is not reflected as much. I also feel like my personal experience went by pretty smoothly because I had female seniors that I was able to look up to and took care of me.
Lion dance is beyond the dance, it's beyond the martial arts, it's beyond all of that. Today, I believe lion dance is a way to promote and show off the Chinese culture to new faces, really bring that awareness to what lion dance really is. Because a lot of people may not know what it's about. A lot of people may not even have heard of it before. Lion dance is a form of entertainment, and it's no longer about competing who is the best. Although there is a certain area for that where there is competitive lion dancing. However, with Jingwu, I believe lion dance has become more of a social lubricant where it brings people together. It brings people of all different cultures to just stop and watch and just enjoy and appreciate the Chinese culture.
The
Line dancing, like originally, like when I first joined, I just wanted to do it just because I wanted to perform and just kind of feel, like honestly just against the costume, because I mean, it's so bright and beautiful, like you want to join it. But then after time, like when you actually get to know everyone and you actually become a part of like the culture within, you really feel like that it's more than just line dance, really representing your culture, your community, and just honestly just being Canadian. The fact that we're able to like even just perform in such an area where it's quite openly accepted.
Traditions are just a transmission of customs and beliefs. I believe that traditions should be passed on from one generation to the next. It gives people a sense of identity and a place of belonging. I believe traditions are important in order to teach the next generation how things were before and also remind everyone else of how their heritage is.
Don't be afraid to dive in. I think a lot of kids nowadays, they're afraid to show that they are connected to a different culture. You can't be afraid to just show that stuff off, right? I know some kids are like, you know, I eat funny things, or I listen to funny music, or my parents do funny things or behave differently, and that's okay. For future generations that want to learn stuff like line dance, and for parents not to be afraid to let them try. And that's the biggest thing for us. It's a free class, we don't charge. If you come and you like it, you stay. You don't like it, cool, you tried it, right? At least you can say that now in your life, and maybe later on you'll come back, or later on when you have kids, you want them to try it, right? So really it's just, don't be afraid to show off your culture a bit, particularly as a first generation Canadian Chinese, just connecting back to what my parents grew up with, right? And what they're familiar with.